All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, November 28th. Mondays with MAZUR with Tony MAZUR. Tony, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
I had a very relaxing Thanksgiving. Hung out with some comics. It was fun. I always pick and choose the holidays I go home for. Last year was Thanksgiving. This year it's Christmas. Going home Christmas. And you can see Tony and I at the Funny Stop December 26th and 27th. My birthday shows. Come on out. It's going to be a good time.
So Monday and Tuesday.
Monday and Tuesday after Christmas.
That works for me. I mean, look, a lot of people are off between Christmas and New Year's, so who cares if it's a Monday or Tuesday? Come on out to the Funny Stop. Have a good time. Be blessed with us.
Be blessed. Another inside joke.
Yeah, not even 2 minutes into the podcast, inside jokes. I swear to God, it's so funny. If somebody hacked into my phone and found what you and I text about, they would just go, I don't know, who are these people? And it's just usually us sending each other screenshots of what's happening locally in Cleveland about like a shitty like one-nighter at a bar or whatever, or this person is blessed, or this person is so thankful, you're just like, ugh, kill yourselves, everything like that. And so it's not like you're going to find anything salacious. You're just going to find like, who are these people that you just keep texting?
I'll name one of them just for the local radio listeners from back in the day that's on the Patreon. One is the not aforementioned Mary Santora, who is on my old radio show, who loves to celebrate herself no matter what, like sobriety. I did this. She's constantly celebrating herself. And it's just, oh my goodness. It's embarrassing.
Here's somebody who's been celebrating herself a lot too.
Oh, is that Kate Quigley?
That's Kate Quigley.
Did you go to the Funny Stop when she was there?
No, I was out of town when she was there, but I saw the pictures and I'm like, Kate, oh boy. That's she kind of dropped off a little bit on
Did she?
No, I don't know what her stand-up is like, but she's not taking care of herself. Like a lot of the photos, if she's posting any, are from a couple of years ago. I'll just say that.
Wow, that fentanyl overdose really did a number on her, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, every so often, look, when you're dealing with deaths in your immediate social circles, it does affect people pretty hard. And this one clearly, yeah.
Well, she I know Hootie was not happy with her.
No, then Hootie, yeah, had to come out and basically say,
get the fuck out of my house.
They dated during COVID, and yeah, that was a thing back in one day. Oh, you're blocked.
Yeah, I don't even remember why she blocked me. I think it's because I was on Kevin's podcast talking about it.
Yeah, it was probably the shrapnel that you got. I've noticed that of people who've blocked me over time, and it's because of my attachment to you, Kevin, Compound, Gino, anything like that.
Yeah, it sucks. It's not bad. It is what it is. I wish her the best.
So in the last week now, since we did the podcast, I saw that you had a bunch of your fans jumping into your YouTube chat. Someone named Frank, someone named Gino, someone named Steel Toe something. What's been going on here?
Well,
you like that setup right there? That's a radio setup. It's like, hey, so we got Chad Zumock coming over to the Funny Stop. Hey, Chad, what did you think? You saw the Browns beat the Buccaneers. Now, you live in Tampa, but you're from Cleveland. How are you conflicted by that?
You know what you just did? I don't know. If you've seen the original Top Gun when Goose, he sets it up on the volleyball and Maverick comes in for the spike. That's what you just did. And here comes Maverick coming in. Pete Mitchell, Lieutenant Pete Mitchell for the spike and the win. Yeah, so
wait, shout out to Wawa.
Oh yeah, shout out to Wawa. Fuck yeah, I was just there yesterday. So okay, let's set this up. I wasn't never gonna talk about this guy because it's just I've seen these guys just come and go for 15 years. These radio wars, Maxwell, I've seen them all come, Jeremy Shearer, they just come and they disappear. And I thought the same with this guy. And he's so persistent and consistent on coming after me. And at first, I didn't even want to know his name. I was like, okay, I'm not even going to learn his name. And then someone sent me, the best thing is I don't have to look for anything on these people. They just send it to me. They sent me a bunch of shit on this guy, the Steel Co guy, his name. I found out his name was like, fuck. I refuse to learn how to pronounce his last name. I'll say that. And, here's the thing about internet trolls. There's vigilante ones out there too. So the ones that come after me, there's also ones protecting me, and they're protecting other people. So these people that want to play internet shock jock, you got to watch your ass, dude, because they will dig up shit. There's a guy, I won't dox who he is. He's on my Patreon. His name's PJ. It's as far as I'll go. And he's listening right now. He knows exactly what I'm talking about because I freaked him the fuck out one day because these internet trolls dug up where he lived, his mother, his sister, everything, where he went to college. I was just like, I didn't even ask for it, and they gave it to me. So I got a lot of shit on this dude, the Steel Toe guy, that that his co-host is his second wife. He has 3 kids. He was in radio, I don't even know this fucking radio station, because coming from a guy who was in radio, maybe let me pull it up. Do you know anything about this radio station that he's on? I heard a clip of him talking about it once, and he was on the morning show, and he had to sell his own advertising. So that's not a good radio job.
Yeah, what happens is I learned this when I was an intern over about 16 years ago, is that they said if you really want to get on the air, you have to sell your own ad time. So you're basically paying, well, I shouldn't say you're paying, you're working so you can be on the air. So you're a sales guy who's selling your own ad time, your air time.
Right.
And that's embarrassing because it means you clearly don't have the talent, but because you're making enough money for the company, they'll give you a time slot.
I think that's what Mark Munch Bishop does, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're basically just salespeople that never, and I guess he even went to broadcasting school. He did it all. Like you could tell he's every hacky radio guy I ever seen. They watched ONA. They want to be the ONA. They want to be Howard, and they love it. They love radio, and he's just that guy. And they picked up every shitty cliche. He's picked up every mannerism as a hack radio guy. And I honestly do not find him entertaining. I don't think he's talented. And I don't understand this weird confidence he has. Like, if you look like you do and you don't have the experience and you're just essentially a YouTuber, a Twitch guy, you shouldn't be as confident as you are. It baffles me how confident he is. But someone sent me all this shit. Let's just go through some of it. Central Minnesota morning show host resigns after repeatedly body shaming an Iowa female host. His name's Aaron. I don't even want to pronounce his last name because it just who gives a fuck about this guy. So have you ever heard of this radio station? Rockin'
KAZR. Rockin' 101. Wait, hang on a second. So this is, okay, so WHMH in St. Cloud. Last comments about KAZR Des Moines morning co-host Heather Lee. I don't know. No, he sounds like a Maxwell type. Where he has to do a podcast now because he can't. Look, I'm not in radio anymore, but I didn't really want to be in radio the last few years that I did it. So it's nice and freeing to do this. I don't to do that on regular radio. You're just asking for it at that point. Yeah, I mean, people say that to me and say like, "Oh, you were just asking to be fired because you had Gino on the podcast." I'm like, okay, we could say that in hindsight now, but I did it on a podcast. I wasn't on regular radio calling somebody a competing show host a pig and a pit bull or anything like that. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying it's kind of stupid to do that.
Well, he's obviously a terrible guy. He's a misogynist. He's divorced. And I would put any amount of money down, anything I own, that it was his fault. They got divorced. He probably hits his wife, his current wife. Like, his current wife's a pretty attractive girl, but I have no idea how he got her. I think it's a situation because he's from fucking Minnesota and they never leave, like these Rochesters and these Minnesota. So they just settle. And she just settled with this guy because he's not a fucking man. He just plays Twitch all day and plays on YouTube. If you're a father of 3, go get a job, dude. Provide. Quit playing radio in your basement. You're literally a little kid playing radio in his basement. So I want to know more about this fucking guy. At first I didn't, but now I'm intrigued. Now he's got my attention because he does a show on me every fucking day. This is Rockin' 101. Go
Ugh.
rock yourself.
I
Oh,
hate radio.
go rock yourself.
St. Cloud, Minnesota.
The Johnny Rock Show, weekday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So they didn't bring him back because they wanted to go with Johnny Rock, even happier.
Johnny Rock. Johnny Rock, he makes 20 grand a year.
So how much you think this guy's making doing a morning show in St. Paul?
Oh, God. Well, if he's doing a morning show that's on one market, he's probably making about 35, 40 grand a year at most.
And he's selling his own advertising.
Yeah, because that's probably the caveat. If in order for you to go on the air, you need to sell yourself and sell your show. The Johnny Rock Show, Jeff's Auto Body, all request lunchtime lineup.
Dude, I've been on every major radio show in the country. I've been on Bennington. I've been on Bob and Tom. I've been on Preston and Steve. I've been on Mike Calta. I mean, I had my own show. I mean, Todd and Tyler. I've done them.
You've been on my shows.
Even Tony Mazur's morning show. I never heard of this guy in my entire life. And I know every radio guy. I've never heard of this station. It's nothing. When I was in radio, when I worked, I had a salary, a pretty nice, and I was up for a very, very significant pay increase because Bob Eatman was going to do my contract. Who's O&A's agent, who's Allen's agent, who's Rover's agent. So for a guy who
How's he doing these days?
Who's that?
Bob Eatman.
He's dead.
Oh, okay. I'm just kidding.
I went to his funeral. Because
so Jim Norton and Rover.
Yeah, I saw them both there. I saw and Jonathan, their manager. I saw Rover there too. It was in Los Angeles. I was living there at the time, so it wasn't like one of those. Bob Eatman was a good dude. Like he was really nice to me. He had me over at his house for dinner, and his wife cooked for us, and she was very lovely. And
I heard he had a really nice wife, and that Bob during contract negotiations was a little bit of a lunatic.
Yeah.
He would get crazy. That one of the classic, I've told you that he also represented Kylie and Booms, the show I worked on, and they flew out to Los Angeles for the contract negotiations. They went to his house, and Bob was there yelling. Like, he's not much of a yeller, but he was yelling at his kids about, it's like, I bought you a PlayStation, now go and play it. And his wife was like, oh, he gets this way during contract time. They're like, should we leave? Like, come back another day? Like, no, we're gonna get this done right now. We gotta get it done right now. And they're like, okay. I mean, it's a little uncomfortable here.
Well, one of the cool things is he would, every time you would text him, he would call you, or if you had a question, or you pick up right away. That's like that's a very cool dude, you know. Like,
that's a good agent.
That's a good agent. Yeah. So super agent Bob Eaton. So long story short, this guy is just a pretender. I mean, he's just a hack wannabe radio guy. And I saw a clip of him talking about, because I guess he did Content House, like him and his wife called in the Content House. Ugh. And he said, I had to wait till later because I was too intimidated to talk to Anthony, because Anthony's his hero, but he was intimidated by that. I mean, that's just fucking
Dude,
gay.
You're a radio guy. You're not supposed to be intimidated by anything. What's the matter with you? It's like, yeah, look, here, I'm going to come about this because I was in a similar position as him, in that I was a big O&A fan. And yeah, when I was 18, I got a chance to meet Opie, Anthony, Jim Norton, Rich Voss, Club Soda Kenny.
What was it like?
And Pat from Unaki. That's him.
Yeah.
Oh God.
This is, I think, his old radio show. But look at the background. You could just tell it's like a really low frequency studio. Like it's like WNIR. You know, WNIR. Oh, yeah. That's like a shit station. And I was up for that. And it's a shit studio. Old mic.
Anyways. It's an old microphone. Probably smells the the windscreen, as they call it. Probably stinks like tuna. Yeah, I was in that position. But what you have to do is, you are somebody who's a big O&A fan, and I was somebody that clearly, if you ever heard me 15 years ago doing internet radio, podcasts, anything, you can definitely tell I was heavily influenced by O&A. But as time goes on, you find your own style. It's like that in comedy. When you start, you're going to be influenced by Dave Attell. You're going to be influenced by Patrice O'Neill. You're going to be influenced by Dice or Kinnison or whatever it was that you, Louis C.K. when you started. And then as time goes on, you start to find your voice. It's like that in radio, but you have to break free from that. You have to go, yeah, I can still listen to Anthony. I can still listen to In Hot Water. I could still listen to these people, but
no
I
one's
also
listening.
have my own thing.
No
And
one's
you
listening
start
to In Hot Water anymore, by the way.
Well, that's true. Yeah. unless you're Jim Stansel and some of those folks.
It's not a good sign when your subscribers are now your co-host. That's not a good sign for a successful show. And go fuck yourself, Gino. That's coming from me.
Well, I want to get into talking about Gino here in a second, since you were I saw you went on a rampage about him the other day. But and then somebody was saying that, oh no, it was Alex Engelbert said that you were lying about having a knife pulled out on you.
I told that story. That happened. Gino
she said it was a lie. She said it never happened.
Well, she's full of shit, and Gino even confirmed it because he talked to him. She's a fucking drug addict. She's a pillhead, so I don't expect her to remember. But that's 100%. The fucking, he was a black guy who was living there. By the way, that was the last time I ever saw him, and I lived there for 6 months. No, but Gino even confirmed it.
But the whole thing with, when you talk about these radio guys who want to be like O&A, yeah, that was a thing in the past. Yeah, that was a cool time, but you're not supposed, you have to find your own path. And this dude clearly wants to be, it's kind of like what Ski Mask was doing. It's kind of like what everybody else is doing. You have to create your own niche. You can be influenced by somebody, but you can't essentially, that Steel Toe guy is trying to do Anthony's show, but with him. It's like with his brand.
They're all doing a shitty version of, they're all doing the same show, and it's like all shit. It's all garbage.
Mm-hmm.
It's all watered down, diluted. It's not entertaining, but it's just, this guy is clearly a pretender. He's just pretending. And the fact that he's like going so hard in the paint on me, and I don't watch his shit. I see clips here and there because I honestly don't find him entertaining. I don't think he's funny. And I think he's trying to like get in with Anthony. So let's go after Chad, and Chrissy will like me, and Anthony will like me. And it's just not working. And
well, that's what Ski Mask tried to do. And how'd that work out for him?
He's not even, that guy's not even on my radar. Like,
but it's the same thing. So, you know, these people who are just kind of, they want to get into that universe, and they're trying to figure out how it is. I mean, I wanted to get into the universe when I was a lot younger. Weirdly enough, I am in the universe now, even though it's now so fractured and it's fragmented and everything. It's kind of cool getting to know a lot of these people. But I met Voss, and I've met all these other people, the comics, because I also do stand-up too. It's because I also have social skills. I don't just try to kiss people's asses and try to get on, you know, hey, that guy rips on Chad. Hey, what are you doing on Tuesday at 5:00? I'd love to have you on my show. That's what they're hoping for. The huge goal is like, oh my God, Anthony's going to have me on, or I'm going to be a guest on the Wet Spot tonight.
Yeah, it's, and
like,
the thing is,
it's not the same as when they were syndicated under 20 markets.
Yeah, let me explain something to everybody, like all these people that are trashing me and stuff like that. The difference between me and you is these people, all these people like Joe Rogan and Bert Kreischer, everybody you talk about, Tom Segura, Ari Shaffir, the difference between me and you is those guys have my number. They know my name. You guys are just trying to get page clicks. You guys are trying to get eyes on your shitty product, but you guys are just pretenders, and that's what it is. And that's why, and this is probably the last I mention this guy, because he gets off on it. He gets like some sort of weird dopamine drip. By the way, he had E-Rock on his podcast, and I saw a clip. He was like starstruck. Who gets starstruck by E-Rock?
Yeah, that's embarrassing. Wait, did you say Bert Kreischer?
Oh my goodness. Is that his wife, Leanne?
Is that? I don't know. You sent it to me.
Oh, I did. Yeah, that is his wife.
It was at 11:08 p.m. Yeah, so I don't know.
Somebody
that was the day after the car accident.
Somebody sent that to me. People just send me shit. It's like fucking hilarious. Like I don't go looking for it. I just get sent DMs, and it's.
Yeah, no, it's embarrassing when people are just trying to suck up and try to get into this universe. It's like, you have to, if you want to get into the universe, do so based on merit, based on being funny or interesting or something. I'm like, look, my podcast, so the Check Your Brain podcast for folks who haven't subscribed, $5 a month at patreon.com/Tony Mazur. Yeah, I rip on the news, I talk some sports, I do whatever.
This is the guy who's
he was married and has kids. This dude.
Yeah, I know.
What is it? What is this wacky thing that he's trying to do?
His wife, I don't know. His wife must be like, because she's just one of those girls that never left their hometowns. They just grew up there and they just settled.
Have kids young. And
he's obviously an abusive guy, so he probably has some sort of weird thing over her. She probably has a lot of issues, so she settled with this guy.
That hairline.
It's not good.
That's you're getting Phil Collins really quick, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this guy he's trashing me nonstop, and just look at you. Just look at you. You're not even my ballpark. I don't even know why I'm talking about you. I really didn't want to. I didn't even want to learn your name.
He tried. I mentioned it before, but he asked me if I'd do his podcast. But I'm like, I'll do your podcast if you want to talk about like other shit, like what's going on in the news, or hey, your Cleveland Browns have Deshaun Watson coming back. I'll talk about that. I'm not going to go on a podcast where they've trashed you and want to find out more information about you. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. That was the thing when. It actually wasn't. I think I went on the Ski Mask show, and all they wanted was info about you, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm like, this was after the whole thing that happened a couple of years ago, and I'm like, yeah, I know a little bit more about it than you folks do, but I'm not going up there. I'm not going to try and compromise what's going on with Chad, and neither will he. So you're not getting any information, like any new stuff you're going to want to go viral, and I just won't be a good guest then, I guess.
Yeah. No, here's the thing. That this kid, he's a tryhard. He's a wannabe. But the fact of the matter is, you never left your hometown. You never tried to chase a dream. These people you talk about don't know who you are. You failed at marriage. You probably failed as a father. Like, you're a fucking dad, and I don't respect anybody who's online all day long on Twitch and YouTube, and you have a family to provide for. I don't respect you.
And take your kids to the park.
Yeah, you probably
play with them. Stop trying to play pretend by ripping on somebody just because a couple of people, just because Anthony Cumia says that. Because that was the thing about the ONA pests back in the day, is that I remember when I was 19, like a lot of these online trolls is that they're all teenagers. Like when you'll get an anonymous account call you a faggot or something, understand that person's either 12 years old or 50. Yeah. No life. So sometimes if you respond to somebody with 2 followers, it's probably like a 10-year-old who has Twitter for whatever reason. So, but I remember the days of the O&A pests where they would attack the media or have a sign and try to get a reporter to say something on live camera or whatever. But there's also a thing where you're like, dude, it's like, it's not worth that. You're doing this you're cucking for a radio show. A radio show that doesn't really care about you. They're using you as content. They're using you as free content is what it ends up coming down to.
You went to radio school and you couldn't get a job in radio. Nobody knows who you are. You failed in radio, and now you're a YouTuber. That's all you are, is you're a YouTuber, and that's how you provide for your family.
It sounds like you're attacking me now.
But
sorry, my laptop was falling there.
Well, the difference you actually have a real job that pays well, and you don't have kids. So, and we're doing this podcast. We do it for fun. And he's like, well, I'm just trying to be funny about it. And I want to be mean about it. I want to be mean. I want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to like you. I'm never going to like you. So we're never going to squash it because you're very unlikable. And I don't really want to hang around you or be a part of your little clique, because it's not a cool clique. It's not fun. So I'm going to talk shit about you because I don't like you. And that poor wife of yours, she should just get out now, because you will hit her eventually. You will hit her. And that poor girl, she never left her hometown. And they're in these shitty cities like Rochester, and they've never experienced anything. They never went for it. He's a failed comedian. There's no clips of him doing stand-up online because he failed at it, like they all did, like Brad Thacker, like Ski Mask. They all failed at marriage, failed at everything, failed at radio. And that's what it is. You're a failure. So clip that, talk about it. Go fuck yourself.
And you're somebody that holds, you're somebody, because I'm the same way too when it comes to holding a grudge. Because I mean, you've had people try to make an olive branch after years of shit talking and stuff, and go like, "Hey man, are we cool?" And you're like, "No, fuck you. I remember all this." Like when Bill Squire tried to do that at Rock on the Range a few years ago. He tried to come up to you, like shake your hand, go like, "Hey, water under the bridge. Let's squash this beef." And you're like, "Fuck off."
Yeah, no, because I just taped Gotham. He's like, dude, great job on Gotham, man. And I go, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't like, listen, dude, I have like a 3 strikes, you're out rule. Like, I'm good to bury the hatchet, but once you hit that 3rd strike, you're dead. You're done. And these guys, they all hit their 3rd strike. And I'm just like, there's no coming back now. It's over. So,
yeah, I have a lot of grudges right now that I have pent up. See, the one thing is when you start holding grudges, you wonder if you are, if people are actually like you're holding a grudge against somebody who doesn't actually hate you. They just kind of lost touch for a little bit, but you are automatically hate that person. You're like, they haven't texted me. They haven't asked me how old. So fuck you. And it's one of those things where I feel like I know in some ways in my community, I'm getting blackballed, but there's other people who probably I think are blackballing me that aren't, that just, hey, just haven't talked in a while. And then like, if I get a text, like I had that happen with somebody where I'm like, this person, they dropped off the map. What a turncoat. I thought we were friends. And then like a month ago, they texted me about something like, oh, hey, what's up, man? So it's always going to be kind of interesting when I'm in this universe. But I will say though, if I find out and if somebody does want to come forward and say like, hey man, like, dude, you thought I was a racist. You thought I was all this other stuff. You believed. It's like, you and I have known each other for several years, yet you believed some bullshit narrative about me. And I'm like, yeah, no, we're not going to be friends. You cut that off. If you unfollowed me on social media, if you blocked me, if you unfriended me on Facebook or something, as silly as it sounds, yeah, I am going to kind of hold a grudge against you. If you do that and then we see each other in real life, I just saw somebody who did that, who unfollowed me on Twitter and then ran into him the other day. And it was just like, it was awkward for him. I'm like, dude, I didn't unfriend you. You're the one who started that.
yeah.
So if you think it's awkward, that's a you problem, motherfucker.
Well, there are situations like, for example, yesterday I opened for Daniel Tosh in Sarasota. I haven't spoken to Daniel Tosh in almost 14 years. And last time we spoke, we got in a huge fight because I was opening for him. And at the time, it was before Tosh.0 and before, he blew up, and he was already selling out theaters. I mean, like he was doing comedy club, like Hilarity's 4th Street Theater. Like we worked there together. We worked at Gotham. We did a bunch of dates. And the last date we were at, I forgot where the fuck we were, maybe Dayton or something. We got in a big fight and I never spoke to him again. So just recently, you guys were down in the Key West, right?
Yep.
And I told Florentine, I go, hey, Tosh is down there. He's a big Miami Dolphins fan. He's like, I've met him a few times. He goes, give him my number. And I said, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I still had his Gmail. So I emailed him and he got back to me right away because I told him I was living in Florida. He asked me what part. And I said, yeah, if you get down there early, Jim said, come do a guest spot or whatever. And he goes, you live in Tampa? He's like, can you open for me in Sarasota on the 27th? So I got a gig out of it, and I thought the guy was like mad at me, and it turns out he doesn't even remember.
That's great. See, I mean, at some point, like we play these mental games with ourselves and think that people will hate us, and I think there are definitely people who definitely hate us.
Oh yeah,
and there some of them make no bones about it. Others will pretend. I mean, you and I were talking off the air before we started the podcast about people who like what we do, but can't publicly say they like what we do, whether it's tweeting, podcasting. They will smash somebody or rip on the media or rip on what's going on in society. And they'll come up to us privately or they'll send us a DM and say, hey man, I love what you do. I can't promote it. I can't tweet it out. I can't retweet you. I can't do any of that. So that's what sucks about being in this universe is that people are afraid of look what happened with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving wasn't coming out and talking about going DEFCON 3 on the Jews. That was Kanye. But because Kyrie retweeted a video link to something that talked about it was called like the Hebrew and the Negro or whatever it was called. And because of that, because they said there was anti-Semitism in them.
I think it was Chico and the Man.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was Jack Albertson. It was the grandpa from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Freddie Prinze. Um, but I think that's what ended up happening is that just because he retweets it, he's attached to it. So other people, that's why in their stupid bios, they always say retweets do not exactly mean endorsements. And you go, we're self-censoring ourselves.
Yeah.
We as a people, not you and me. I don't give a fuck.
We the people.
All of my retweets are absolute endorsements.
Oh yeah, every retweet that is an endorsement like a motherfucker. So yeah, no, and that's another thing. Like, listen, what ultimately happens, and I've seen it over and over and over. These like small tier podcasts that that are attacking me online, they'll come to. I got like last week, I got so many DMs, emails about people like first, I saw Carl from Who Are These Podcasts. I came over to troll you, but I actually kind of like your podcast now. So they ultimately become a fan. So keep doing what you're doing because they will become a fan. So many people have come to my shows. Like when I was with Dave Landau, a lot of Compound Media people came out and they're like, yeah, man, we came to troll you and Landau, but you guys were actually really funny. And, Fred Sanford, who's on my Patreon, he was another guy. He literally came to troll me and he's like, now he's a huge fan. They always turn because they realize, wait a second, it's actually kind of funny. Wait, what? Well, I guess we were duped. And then they realize your podcast isn't any good anymore. And that's the beauty of it.
Well, it's the marketplace. It's what happens is when you have the marketplace of, you've been doing your podcast, what, about 9 years now, right? 2013?
2013.
So it's not like, what do they say about podcasts? It's kind of like with restaurants is that 75% of them or whatever the percentage go away after like a few episodes. How long did Maxwell's last?
Oh,
Benjamin
Jesus.
Bornstein's.
He pulled the plug with
MF20 podcast. So they go quickly because they're like, oh, I'm not getting the numbers. I'm not making money from this. Fuck this. It's like, I've been doing my podcast now almost 2 years. I'm going to continue doing my podcast, even if all my Patreon, if people are like, yeah, you know what? It's a tough economy. I'm moving on. I don't care anymore. Or whatever it is. I like doing it. It's a labor of love, but I enjoy it so much. I'm going to continue doing it. And because of that, I'm going to continue to get better. Whether anyone thinks that when you do something more often, you get better at something. It's just, that's the law of averages right now. So when people see that you are putting so much effort into doing your podcast, where you have that ability to talk about like COVID stuff or talk about, I'm just talking about in the last couple of years, but, censorship, you talk comedy, you told old radio stories or whatever the case is, that gives you that flexibility where you can do several types of podcasts. If you're doing a podcast about a comedian and his podcast, it's probably not going to, the shelf life is going to, even the Shuley, Bob Levy, the Uncle Rico stuff is starting to peter out a little bit. So
dude,
think about what you're going to do on a smaller scale of a comedian who lives in Tampa right now. Like, who's really going to care about that?
I know. There's 2 more podcasts doing Stuttering John now. 2 more. I just saw it on my YouTube. I go, what the fuck? And they're all shit. They're just getting shittier and shittier. The more people that do it, it's just like they're all trying to get these page clicks and they're not good. It's jumped the shark, as they would say.
I'm not saying you can't talk about Stuttering John. It's hilarious because he's a retard, and we all know that. And it's fun to make fun of somebody like that because it's almost like not punching down. It's like if anything, you're attacking somebody who did achieve some kind of notoriety. I'm not saying fame, but some kind of notoriety. So you get to kind of punch at that. But we did a podcast on mostly. We didn't even do a full podcast on John. We just, because that was what was going on, we had a little fun with it, and then we moved on. The next episode, we talked about something else.
I just wanted to tell the story about what happened.
Yeah, you're allowed to talk about that, but we didn't dedicate our entire podcast to this. Even Shuley doesn't dedicate his whole universe to Stuttering John.
He's starting to.
It's because he got a lot of subscribers over it, but
they're riding the wave for sure.
Yeah, and all for it because they have the best information and they have people who are out there finding more John stuff. They go to the Pickwick pub and they go see him just to fuck with him.
Did you see? Somebody retweeted it that they're raising money to send Bob Levy, Shuley, and Mike to the Pickwick pub to do a podcast.
Oh, really? Where is the Pickwick Pub anyway?
I think it's in Burbank. I'm pretty. It's in the Valley. I know it's in the Valley. I saw that. I started like, oh man, I'm laughing. I'm in pain. I'm still in pain. I'm getting a massage today at 2.
Woodland Hills. Does that sound right?
Yeah, Woodland Hills. Yeah, that's
Pickwick's Pub.
That's near where. That's near where Kobe died.
Yes, yeah, it's near Topanga, and yeah, in Calabasas. And it's of course right off the freeway, which is classic because it's it's right near Trader Joe's, isn't that? Is that the Trader Joe's that Perry Caravello goes to?
Let me Pickwick Pub. Let me pull it up because I know Woodland Hills very well.
Pickwick's Pub. It's on Ventura Boulevard.
Yeah, because I used to live in the Valley when I was my last stint in LA. I had to move to the Valley.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So this is
it's next to a place called Bad Ash Cigar Company. Because get it?
Rest your ash.
Oh, God, I hate that. But it's funny. Yeah, they should do that and have Bob and go out there. Look, they're talking about me again. And all the trolls.
Oh, I know exactly where this is. I've been to that Trader Joe's. I've been to that Trader Joe's, actually. Yeah, Pickwick Pub. It's right off the highway. Yep. Yeah, I know exactly. Yep. Wow.
3 to 7 happy hour.
And actually,
you know where John will be.
And here's one thing. There's a studio down there that all the famous bands near here, they practice at, like the Chili Peppers. I know Rage Against the Machine, Metallica. I know.
Speaking of Metallica, did you see they're going out on tour again? It's so weird to see. This is the no repeat weekend. 2 nights, 2 different sets, 2 different opening acts in the round at the 50-yard line. And they are touring.
I wonder if Brewer's going to open.
Well, it looks like a lot of, unless they have somebody else open, but they're going to do an American leg. This is a North American leg, and this is starting in August of 2023.
I used to live off Ventura, so this is off Ventura of this Pickwick Pub.
Ventura Highway in the sunshine.
So it looks like it's in a Plaza bar next to a Valvoline oil change.
That sounds about right. So it's just a neighborhood bar. So if anyone wants to go fuck with John, and if you don't want to do that, if you're going out in the Valley, then make sure you go to the Costco where Perry Caravello goes.
This is too funny.
We got to have Don Barris on the show.
I got his number.
Or Tony Barbieri.
I wonder why Barris isn't jumping on the Perry stuff. You think he's just over it, or he moved on?
I think it goes in waves. I think Perry's out of his mind still. He's still doing like YouTube stuff and people ask him questions. And actually he's doing the John thing where people are tipping for questions.
I think someone was posing as John talking shit. Now he's talking shit.
Yeah. When Perry looks like the lesser asshole than Stuttering John, that's when you have a real problem. So Metallica's touring. I
guess there's a new single out. Bex just sent me a tweet.
Yeah, they got a new song out, and they're going to be in the Meadowlands, it looks like, in August, Montreal, Arlington, Texas. They'll be at SoFi in LA, Phoenix, St. Louis, Detroit, Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, where the Patriots play, Soldier Field in Chicago, Minneapolis, Edmonton, and Seattle. So nowhere near Florida, it looks like.
I saw Metallica open at Rock on the Range when we were there. So I got my Metallica in.
I did it. I would like to, but the first night 1 of the tour has them with Pantera and Mammoth WVH, which is, I believe that's Wolfgang's band.
Wolfie Van Halen. By the way, did you see Wolfie Van Halen at the Taylor Hawkins tribute playing Hot for Teacher?
I didn't, but how'd it sound?
He sounds just like his fucking dad. It's unbelievable.
I bet.
Sounds just like him. It's amazing. I mean, the guy's incredibly talented, that kid.
And then night 2 has Five Finger Death Punch and Ice Nine Kills. And I like Ice Nine Kills. I'm a little done with Five Finger Death Punch, but I'd like to see Pantera, even though the 2 best people in Pantera are not in the group anymore because they're dead.
Oh, well, I had nothing to do with it.
And Vinnie Paul and you weren't at the El Rosa Villa in December of 2004 with with Dimebag Darrell getting shot. And the guy who, I always say this, the guy who apprehended the shooter, he was the cop in Columbus, was Officer Niggermeyer.
Is that was his name?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Officer Niggermeyer.
Good luck getting Tony fired for that one. He's just
This guy
saying his
gets
name.
it.
Oh, Jesus. So you wanted to ask me about the Gino thing?
Yeah, so I heard, so Gino and all of them jumped in the YouTube chat the other day. I saw the quick video of you ripping on him. What's been going on with that now?
Well, Gino is not the guy I used to know. He's not the guy I lived with. This new persona, it's desperation, it's insecurity. I think it's alcohol and drug fueled, and I feel like Aaron Berg leaving that show put him in a tailspin. And Kevin's right. Kevin is 100% right that he's dependent on Anthony Cumia. If Anthony leaves or cuts his salary, he's done. It's over. It's a wrap. He's 53? He can't go back out on the road. He's not funny anymore. And
I think you guys share a birthday.
December 27th?
I think so.
Oh. I don't know.
See. Let me look it up. I know his birthday's right around that time.
But no, he's just like he's going down the shock jock road. He's alienating a lot of people, and he's pissing people off, and I'm one of them. He just thought it because of the narrative they're creating with ski mask and all the Christy Mayer and Frank, and he started coming after me because the compound thing is a cult and they're circling the wagons, and you got a guy like me who doesn't play ball and doesn't pander to anybody, and he's doing all this shit. By the way, I don't go in chat rooms. I don't go on Reddit. I'm a fucking man. I never go in anyone's chat ever. So why would he jump in my chat?
Yeah, though. So what's funny, because Kevin was talking about that with Alex Engelbert. So basically, they with the pre-Thanksgiving podcast last week with MLC was with Gino's ex-girlfriend and the guy who punched Gino in the face.
Now, does Pat Dixon really have a warrant out for his arrest for this? Did Gino turn him in?
I don't know. I don't know what's real, what's not.
By the way, this is Gino's YouTube. You're not winning. You only have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and your views barely break 1,000. And you're trying. You're promoting this, and you're not winning. That just goes to show you no one's watching your show on Compound Media if they're not watching this for free.
He's doing a lot of those from home too.
Well, this is in studio.
Well, because wasn't he doing them on Thursdays? But now Kevin and Levy come in on Thursdays.
I don't know.
I think that's what happened. But the one thing about it seems like with Gino, and I what's funny is Alex said the same thing. She said that this isn't who Gino is. Gino is a guy who wrote inspirational quotes, who would read Camus.
That's exactly what Florentine said.
Yeah, that Gino was kind of like an interesting. Listen to Lilith Fair music, and that's who he was.
He's the guy who flew overseas to get his girlfriend back and brought her flowers. That's who he really is. He's not this shock jock he's trying to be, and this polarizing personality that he's latched onto, and
dropping
that he feels
F-bombs and N-bombs and stuff like that. And I think what he does is he because I know people in my personal life who do this, where they find one flaw about you and just needle at it, just keep picking at that scab. And I think that's what ended up happening with people like like Aaron Berg, like Pat Dixon, like Kevin, is that Gino ended up finding something about somebody and then just really got them to the point where they do some. I mean, like, when have you ever heard Aaron Berg pin anybody up against a bar?
Nobody.
At least not since he's been sober. And for somebody like that, which, by the way, Aaron and Louis J. Gomez will be at the Funny Stop in January, and I think I'm on those shows.
Yeah, no, Gino, like he pissed me off too. I would have, honestly, if I was living in New York and he was doing this shit, I would have hit him. I would have punched him by now because he's a fucking dickhead. And I defended him for so many years against Godfrey because Godfrey was calling him a racist and all that. And I defended him. And now I'm like, no, have at it, Godfrey. Say whatever the fuck you want about Gino because he deserves it now.
Yeah, Godfrey was one of the first who actually was saying that about Gino and Anthony.
for years. It wasn't just it just came up. I mean, he's like, why you go over on that fucking network? Why you doing that network, man? He always asks me why I'm going on that network. So yeah, Gino. So you're a piece of shit. Your show sucks. I don't give a fuck if you like me or not. You got Tony fired. I'm convinced. I know you say you got yourself fired. No, he got you fired. Period. And Aaron doesn't like you. No one likes you. Kevin doesn't like you. I mean, good luck with your Keanu Thompson lady. I don't have nothing against her, but
was there a rumor that Gino wasn't allowed to go to South Carolina with her?
I don't know. I swear to God, I don't watch Compound.
I'm just throwing those things out so people could do some digging.
Oh, okay.
I hear things.
So there's a rumor if Gino goes to South Carolina with Anthony, she's not allowed to go.
Well, she's in South Carolina right now, I guess.
Are they both
just visiting her family, but Gino didn't go with her.
Interesting. Is Anthony in South Carolina?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but it is kind of interesting that Gino ends up dating a girl who's originally from South Carolina. At the same time, his boss is moving to South Carolina.
Ah, well, I don't know Keanu's situation, but would you want to bring Gino home to meet your parents? I don't think so.
I mean, Gino has met my parents.
By the way, there's a photo of Gino floating around, and he wears that headband because he has receding hairline. It's like our one friend. There's a photo of his hair receding. I go, oh, well, that makes sense. He's not trying to be fashionable, or he's just trying to cover up the receding hairline.
Yeah,
the old bandana trick.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at our good friend from Cleveland who does the same thing.
I know.
Even though that guy's about 10 years younger than Gino is. Yeah.
Well, that's not a good thing.
Hey, come see us at the Funny Stop at the end of December.
Yeah. By the way, I talked to Tosh for like 5 minutes. He got there like right when the show started. I haven't talked to this guy in years, and we just talked for like 5 minutes, and and then I bring him out, and then we close out the show, and he's already in his fucking car back at the hotel. So
so he's past that point. He's not doing meet and greets.
No, yeah, he's not selling merch.
Not even meeting with the fans, a couple of the people who want to come see him.
Nah, you get to the point where it's just, you don't need to do that.
At what point do you get to that point? Because I mean, the failure that is Dave Landau, from what I've heard in the past, because he's nothing without Compound Media, right? He just did a big theater in Pittsburgh over the weekend,
sold it out.
Yet Dave will go out and still meet the fans. At what point, when you're a comic, you do not do that? Because obviously, when you do theater gigs, it's going to be tough logistically to meet with the fans afterward. Because you may have a merch table or whatever, selling CDs, but you're doing a theater. It's not like you're doing a comedy club and you walk about 50 feet to the back of the room and there you are to shake hands and take pictures and everything. But I know Dave is one who does that and meets with everybody, and I know Jim Norton is somebody who does that, but. Is that what happens? Is that you get to a certain point? Because there's even comedy clubs where you'll have the headliner doesn't meet with anybody. Like, I remember when Norm Macdonald was at Hilarities. When he was done with the show, he would just go back into the room. He's not meeting with the fans. Like, at what point do you get to a level?
I would love to answer this question.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
I know in Tasha's case, when you own a private jet, you don't necessarily need to do a meet and greet. It's subjective. Some people like to do it, like Dave. Godfrey doesn't do meet and greets. Like, he kind of like every now and then he'll come out, take some photos, but because he puts so much into his show, he just wants to relax. Yeah. And then the meet and greet it's essential for a guy like me because, I sell merch and I'm trying to build like, a following and sell tickets. But if I didn't have to do it, I want it. And it's not trying to be a dick to the fans. It's just, you're exhausted after the show. You're tired. And then you got to take it to a new level of, shaking hands, photos, and sometimes they're fucking drunk. They're all over you.
Or they're sick.
Yeah, that's why COVID was great because nobody was doing meet and greets. It was fantastic.
We had, I remember one of the biggest was Carlos Mencia. Is that Mencia does a 2.5-hour show. Then afterward, he takes pictures and he has t-shirts, and the t-shirts are like $35 and a CD's like 20 something. And he has somebody who gets the line together, somebody who's back with him when it comes to the money, and somebody who takes the photo. So it's like, it's this whole process. But somebody like Mencia, he does meet with everybody, but you know, you're going to have to pay for it. But others, it's like, hey, I don't want to buy anything. Can I just take a quick photo? So, you know,
it's also
apparently Tosh is not one of those.
It's all subjective. It's like, you know, usually people in the theaters don't do meet and greets. Generally, I don't. It's a rare. If you're in a theater, it's rare that they're doing a meet and greet. Or sometimes they'll sell packages. Like Jim Norton has like a package deal where if you spend like $100, you can go meet him after the show and take photos or whatever the case may be. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of meet and greets, I'm doing one this Thursday, December 1st, with Don Jameson at Side Splitters. Get your tickets if you live in the Tampa area. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're jumping in the old Honda, and we're driving across the state of Florida to the east side. We're going to Boca Raton at the Boca Black Box Theater, December 2nd and 3rd, Friday and Saturday. So, and Don will be there with Don Jameson, and I'm doing the Black Box 2.0. I might pop over to their show, do a guest spot. We'll see how it plays out. But thank you for your continued support. Oh, shout out to Dr. Steve. Sign up to his Patreon. I was just on there yesterday, his show. I forgot the name of it, but it's on Dr. Steve's Patreon. We had a nice
Weird
conversation.
Medicine.
No, there's another one. The examining room or the examining room.
Yeah. That's right. The waiting room or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go check that out. Dr. Steve's a good dude. Yeah. Thanks to all the new Patreon. Sign up to Tony's. Check your brain. As I say, check your bane.
I was going on the Funny Stop website. The tickets for the show aren't up there yet. It has Bill Squire there, then Josh Volchko, and then it skips ahead to an amateur night, and then Mary Santora.
God, how many times he fucking booked them? They're like there every fucking weekend. Anyways.
Yeah, and around my birthday weekend, heading towards March. My birthday weekend is Lynn Koplitz is going to be there.
Oh,
it's actually booking like better comics now.
Lynn must need to work, I guess.
But before funny. That, Bill Barranque is going to be there. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Great guy. Fantastic guy.
He's also blessed.
Very friendly. I will say that. All right. For Tony Mazur, I'm the Z-Man, Florida's greatest. This is Mondays with Mazur. Count the votes.
Absolutely nice guy.
Bring home the truth.